Hello, everybody, and welcome to Problem Solve Her. I'm your co-host, Chloe, along with my girl,
Dagmar.
Dagalicious is in the house. Happy New Year, everyone. I say it through the whole month of January. If you don't like it, that's not my problem. That's yours. Because here at Problem Solve Her, which is a play on words, we want to inspire and motivate men and women of all ages and have them share their stories and their experiences and really just kind of build this really cool community of people that are aligned with our messaging and they want to, like I said, share their stories and just be a part of something really cool that we're building. And Dagmar is our SEO queen. I have nothing to do with it. And she's noticing that a lot more men are really interested in Problem Solve Her / him. It's for men and women and the kitties and the doggies and everybody. So that being said, hi, Dag.
Hi, Chloe. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year again. We're going to say it the whole month. Why not? We can do
Yeah,
whatever we want. It's our podcast. Hello.
the whole year should be a happy New Year, right?
Yeah. Happy New Year, not Happy New Year's. It's one. It's no plural there, right? Your
Right.
skin looks good today. You look a little
Thank
tanned for
you.
someone who's usually
No,
not.
just the light. It's just how I adjust the light. Wilfred,
Very
Wilfred's
cool. I'm
next to me,
totally into it.
I'm
I love
out
it.
of in a few minutes.
So, Dag, what are we discussing today?
So your suggestion was we talk about how women are different and men too, right? How each woman, each man is different. But at the end, women and men have a lot in common within each other or with each other, but also in each gender, right? Women have a lot of in common with other women and men have a lot of common with other men, but also a lot of women, a lot of men have a lot in common. And I thought about it in advance because I like to analyze my
Unlike
thoughts.
me, who just goes right with it. I don't. I
And
thought it
you
was.
know,
I thought it was a great topic because I think there's definitely things to discuss. And I'll let you say what you, and then I'll just go with your
so
flow.
I thought like each person is different. Like each living being, each human is different. But interestingly, I experienced that as I came to the United States much more than in Germany. And here, it's really the interest. Do you have similar interests and hobbies where you can relate to each other? Do you have similar family situations? Are you single, divorced, have kids, no kids? Do you have the same faith? Right? Then it's much easier to relate to each other. Do you have the same life purpose? Like, do you believe in the same, what you want to accomplish and why? And then I think the last thing, do you have the same goals? Where do you want to be in a year and 3 years? I know you don't, but a lot of other people, where do you
I
want to
know.
be in a year and 3 years and 5 years and 10 years? And I think what really, when we say what people have in common, um, is really, can I relate to you or not?
I agree. I mean, that's coming from a very analytical perspective, right?
Right.
Which is what you do. That's what Dagmar
Who I
does.
am. Who I am.
And it's not that I don't, 3 years, 5 years. You have to remember, my parents are hippies. They met in Jamaica. My dad was hitchhiking on spring break, picked up my mom and her girlfriends after co-eds, as my dad says, and then they got married. But my dad, but he's also a businessman. So he comes from a mathematical brain, but also a hippie brain. And then my mom's an artist. So I'm a combination of all those things. I'm going to be wherever my heart brings me. That's how I live my life. So if that's meaning that, in 3 years from now, my heart wants to be somewhere because of a man, because of a job, because of a project, because Oliver and I can't do these summers anymore. It's wherever my heart tells me, and that's where I go. I'm very adventurous like that. I could pick up and go. I told you I met this guy, knew him for 3 months, moved all the way to England from Jamaica across the pond. I don't recommend that to everybody, but my parents knew his parents and they were really good friends. It was kind of a unique story. But I do agree with a lot of what you said. I find that men, and this doesn't have to be in a sexual way, these are just maybe guys that I'm really good friends with. I'd like to have a core group of male good friends that I have no sexual attraction to, or maybe I do, but I kind of bury it because I'd rather keep the friendship, but nothing's ever happened and they're just my friend. And those are guys that I can call if I want dating advice and say, okay, why do men do this? What is wrong with you guys? Can you please analyze this for me? Or we're talking about tennis and basketball because those are my two huge sports. Or, we like the same music. Maybe we all want to go to a concert together. It's just someone that makes me laugh. We want to go out and have a drink with. But I find that women today, especially the women that I'm all close with, they don't have a lot of guy friends. Do you have a lot of male friends? Because I have a decent amount for sure. No?
No, I don't think I have one male friend.
Wow. Well, hold on. My dad and Dylan are your friends. So let's start there.
I define friendship differently than you are.
Uncle Mike.
Friend for me is somebody close I have ongoing communication with. I'm very raw and vulnerable to my friends. They really know my core. That's for me how I define friendship.
Right. So you're saying you don't have any male friends that you have that with. This is the first I'm hearing of
No.
this. Wow. Okay. So I probably have a handful that I'm a really good guy friends that I speak to somewhat consistently. I have a couple guy friends that I've been friends with for over a decade. I don't have to talk to them all the time. We're still really close. I I want to call them about something. It's really important. I need advice, a recommendation, and vice versa. And then I have other guys that I speak to very regularly that are live close by that are good friends. And then my dad and my brother happen to be two of my really good guy friends, but I'm related to them. And my male cousins, my cousin Brian, I'm close with. The whole family went to Cyprus last summer. My other cousin, Gunther, my dad's sister's son, I worked with him. He has a massive company upstate New York, Tierra Farm. There's your plug, Tierra Farm. I worked for him years ago and I'm still close with him and other male cousins and just guy friends that I've met along the way. I have a couple that live in my building that I become pretty friendly with. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I feel like today, so you're a great example, you don't really have any good male friends. A lot of women I know don't. Their majority of their friends are women or, family members.
What means
And
today? I never had guy friends.
always, I look back at all Jeff, he sent me photos from all of us, like from a party 20 years ago, and all our we're just like all good buddies. I mean, I think all that came from me from high school or maybe junior high, because Dylan is 3.5 years younger than me. So a lot of his guy friends kind of I became friends with when we all started getting a little bit older, maybe in our early 20s. I always had good guy friends. Now
So it's
that
from
I
the
think about it.
brother. You got it from the brother. I only have sisters.
Yeah, maybe that's where it came from because now that I'm looking back, and again, non sexually, I have had a lot of guy male friends. Now, one or two of them that were really good friends, we said, all right, maybe we should try to date. We're attracted to each other. That does not work. I know they show it in the movies. I watched a movie last night. It was very cute on Netflix. People you meet on vacation, and it's a guy and a girl who meet at college and they don't like each other at all. They hate each other. Then they become good friends. And for years and years, they vacation together and they're really good friends. And then they fall in love. And I'm like, it's so rare that that happens where you have, years, a decade plus that you're really good friends with a guy. And then all of a sudden one day you turn to each other, you're like, hey, you want to do this? So I don't know. I think I don't want to say it's a myth.
What's the difference between your girl and your guy friendships?
It's a very good question. The girl friendships are, and some of them, are really ones I've had since I was 15, 16 years old and college. So I have my best friend from college. I have 3 or 4 best friends from high school that I'm still very, very close with. And then I have a couple other girlfriends that I met in my 20s working in New York City, and I'm still very close with them. One of them lives in London. We just talk on WhatsApp like once a month, and she's the worst and she knows it. She's like, I'm so bad, but I see her every summer. We always spend a few weeks together. I go to London, then we all go on a trip together. I'm close with her husband, her kids. My parents adore her, but she's the worst with communication. Candace, if you're listening, and she knows it. And I wrote it the other day and I said, we're planning the family trip this summer for my big birthday because I'm turning 40 again. What's the deal? Like, she's like, I'm so bad. Just tell me where to be, what to go, what day you're arriving. That's how she is. And that's okay. because she tells me that.
Is she worse than your friend from New York? Denise? Was her name Denise with the mama?
Janine. They're exactly, and they know each other. They're exactly the same. But I'll get once a month. You're my best friend. I love you. Cause they're in like, you can have 3 or 4 best friends. Yeah, she's just as bad as Janine. Janine will send voice notes. Candace gets a pass. She has 2 kids and a husband. So the friendships with the girlfriends for me is girl chat, right? Anything, whether it's, about dating, or my friends calling me about a husband and they're like, oh, my husband's driving me crazy. Or do you remember this when you were, just dating? Is that the same when you're married? Yep, it's the same. Talking about makeup, movies, things that we're into right now, what we're watching, a new book we're reading, things of that nature, right? And then, like I said, I don't know, in Jamaica, we call it the sauce. So like the tea, we're just chatting the tea, right?
Right.
With guys, it's more of a masculine approach because you know how guys are, right? So it's like, I'll text, my guy friend or Amanda's son, who I'm also very close with. He's in college. I'll be like, buddy, you saw that game last night? Those guys blow. They're so bad. But you don't really talk like that with the female friend, right? So I think it's different with the men because it's different subject matters and different relationships. But I have some male friends that give really, really good dating advice, or they'll say, have you ever seen that movie, He's Just Not That Into You? It's an old movie. For some of you young people, you might not know, but it's a really, really good movie. Drew Barrymore is in it, Kevin Connolly. It's really good. And guy friends will tell you straight. So if you call them for advice and you say, okay, you went on I'm just giving an example, a couple of dates with this guy, or here's the language, and he'll say, well, read me the text. And then he'll go, no, out next. And they're coming from the male perspective because they're trying to protect you, right? So I really appreciate my relationships with men versus women.
Okay.
Does that make
So,
sense?
yes. And thank you for explaining. So my female friends, half of them, they're analytic like I am. And they would say totally the same what you just said, what a guy would say. So they're very logical, very analytical. And then my other female friends, they're more spiritual, intuitive, compassionate. So from my perspective, because I don't know if it's science or not, that we all have male and female parts of
I
us,
believe that we do.
not
Yeah.
physically, but like
Yeah, but
in the
men
way how
have
we
that feminine touch to them if they're
in the way how we
vulnerable and
approach,
in tune with
right,
themselves.
right, in the way how we approach life, right? So I would not say, I would not break it down in male or female friends. I would break it down, and sometimes you have, not you, sometimes perhaps your friends are more interested in outdoors, exercise, nature. So you have the talks with them in this direction. And then with other friends, you have more like perhaps your interests or what you work. And then with other friends, you speak about when you have life situations or life challenges. Like you and I, we can talk, I think, about everything except sports. I'm not into sports. So golfing, tennis, or whatever.
Yeah, you're not into any sports, so I can't talk to you about any of that stuff. Like if I say to you, are you watching the Brisbane Open? You'll be like, what's that?
I don't have a
It leads up
television.
to the
I don't watch
Now,
anything.
Stacy, I can. Stacy called me early this morning and we had a whole tennis talk. It's different relationships you have with different people.
I still think it's broken down in interest, hobbies, purpose, goals, things like that. Like more than just the gender, female or male. Don't you
Right, but
have male
but the
friends?
male perspective is very different from the female. So for me, that relationship is completely different because men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and women have a. So
That's
I
cookie
I I
cookie
don't
cutter.
agree. I don't agree.
You don't have feminine men as
No,
friends?
you're saying no, I do, but you're saying that you don't have any male friends, and that some of the personality traits that I was describing about men you find in your female friends. But men are men and women are women. So for me, it's still they're very different relationships.
No, for me not. So I don't break it down in gender.
I mean, I have to because it's especially certain conversations I'm having with men. If they're telling me about a partner and they're saying to me, "Oh, well, I slept with this woman and I need your advice. And, she hasn't called me back yet. And he's talking about a personal experience. I want to keep it PG on here. We got to keep our rating clean. If he's explaining that to me, it's very different. So when you say you can't with genders, I mean, that's a perfect experience. That's totally separate. And when a guy talks about that, it's so different than a way that a woman and a woman speak about it. So for instance, our friend calls me. I really like this guy. I waited 5 or 6 dates and we hung out the last month and we talk every night on the phone, we FaceTime, and I finally slept with him. And this was my experience. A guy's perspective is like, he'll call me. I don't understand. We went out 4 times already. She's like, she won't even give me anything yet. I barely get a kiss. Like when is this? When is she going to let me get in bed with her? I mean, they're just the mindset of men versus women are so
So what do you
drastically different.
say? Are you bringing back the feminine perspective, the female
I
perspective?
say to men, I don't believe in this whole thing about, and this is a very old school mentality of men. And I remember this from growing up. So this is like in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, where it was a known thing, like literally just in life, especially if you lived in really big cities like New York, LA, London. It's like, okay, 3 to 5 dates after that, you're going to sleep with the person because you want to see if they're a potential match. And people are like, the guys are knocking off on their calendar. Okay, it's date number 5. She better give it up tonight. And that was a theory for a really, really long time. Now, today is still kind of, I hear people talking about that, but I don't think that anyone should put a timestamp on, okay, it's like you're on vacation. I arrive on this day, I'm leaving on this day. Okay, that's my itinerary. That has nothing to do with my sex. There should not be the pressure. I've taken you out to dinner 3 times. We went out for drinks another night and I took you to a concert. Now get in my bed. But that's unfortunately the way how some people think. And it will always be like that.
So when you say some people, men and women, or men or women?
Mostly men are thinking to themselves, if they are, and I've spoken to male friends about this a lot over the last few years, especially since now that online dating is getting really big. It's bigger than it's ever been because people are busy and doctors and lawyers and their schedules are weird. So everyone jumps online and they go on dates. Is that they feel like if they're putting time and energy and spending money and picking you up and taking you out on dates, that at a certain point, they don't want to feel used as in, okay, so I'm just here to buy you dinner and buy your drinks and take you to a concert. What about the intimacy part of it? But instead of them explaining it like that, we're saying, okay, I don't want to just go out to dinner and feel like I'm paying the bill? Or can we connect emotionally and maybe potentially sexually, which is really what their approach should be, instead of turning women off. And it's like the clock is ticking on the 5th night, and it's like date 5, let's go. It's like,
Yeah.
that's
So
a turnoff.
in Europe, intimacy and sexuality is two different things. Like you can feel
No, it's the
intimate
same
with
thing here.
somebody. You can feel intimate with somebody if they touch your hair or they touch your back.
Well, that's why I was saying the emotional part. Yeah, of course, you can feel. I mean, for me, to get to know somebody and to potentially even say I'm going to date them, I date only with intention. I don't just get into bed with anybody. I am not easy. I'm a prude and I'm putting it out there. If you're watching, you're listening, don't come on and say, oh, this girl and they see me on TikTok, the same thing. Her energy is great and she's sassy and this. That doesn't mean I'm easy. Do not connect those two because that is not the case at all. I liked my love language. Well, it's a few things, but touch is one of them. And I'm the same way. So if I'm out with someone and we just started seeing each other and he touches my arm or goes like this to my hair or puts his hand behind my back as we're walking and I feel a synergy, that for me can create the potentially in the future, we might and roll around in the bed. But that's the roll around. They used to say back then, you want to roll around in the hay? And so you're right. Yes, I think that sensual part of the touch will then lead to potentially if we could go further in the relationship. But there has to be some kind of synergy and chemistry for me, at least immediately. I've tried to go the other route and wait out and see, and maybe, nope, I know that I have to feel that pretty quickly for me to want to have a relationship with someone. Because if I don't have chemistry, I'm out.
Right.
It's such a big part.
So today the topic was your idea where women and men are different, but also have so much in common. So what was your thought about?
Well, like I said, for me, I only can speak for me personally. And a lot of women that I've talked about on this subject is sports. More men watch sports than women do, especially football. I'm not a football person. And even basketball, tennis, I would say is mixed. There's a lot of women that watch tennis, and a lot more women are getting into football and baseball. But basketball specifically, I don't really know that women that are like diehard NBA, Knicks to the core. So I can speak to my male friends about that, and that's a connection. Other times it's music, especially if it's reggae, growing up in Jamaica and that reggae vibe. That's really important to me. We don't talk politics on here, but a lot of my guy friends and I are aligned on certain things. And when it comes to women's rights and their bodies and, healthcare and what's going on, that I can connect with them on. And there's less emotion in it than when you talk to a woman potentially about politics, because women tend to be a little bit more emotional. Why? Hormones, menstrual cycles, menopause, perimenopause, all the pauses, and then also sometimes the banter, the quick-witted. Because you know me, I'm quick, and with my jokes and my humor, and sometimes I feel with my male friends I have that very quick banter with them. So that's what I would say draws me toward my male friends and the friendships versus some of my female friends. But then someone like Amanda is exactly like me, and Janine, the same exact banter, quick-witted humor, as opposed to my other female friends, maybe like you or Ashley or um so just some of my other friends that have a different sense of humor. They get mine and I get theirs, but we don't have exactly the same one. So I value all the different friendships of I have. But I wish that more women would realize how similar they are to men. And they don't have to be someone you want to sleep with, date, or marry, and they can just be your good friend. And my parents are really great at that. They'll say to me, there's a situation right now and I'm not feeling it. And I'm like, I can't do it and I don't want to force it. And I've tried it and it's just not going to work. When I say try it, that didn't mean that a roll in a hay. That meant like, going out, no rolls, no haze. And my mom was like, then why can't that person just be a good friend? And she's always said that to me growing up. And I'm like, you're right. It's like, we don't have to write people off. They can maybe just be a good friend. They don't have to be someone you have a relationship with.
Right. When it happens, it
Especially if you
happens.
appreciate them, but you just don't wanna roll around with
Right. Like, yeah, when it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't happen, I wouldn't force it.
we're not here to force anything. You should never force a personal relationship like that, and I think that women today, and I'm seeing a lot of this online, where women are going on and they're telling their stories. "So I met the guy and I went onto Bumble or onto Tinder, and yeah, Bumble and Tinder, and we matched." I'm seeing this constantly, and the algorithm on TikTok and Instagram, if you watch like two of them, or maybe you make a comment, it starts showing up regularly because it's AI driven. And I went and we matched and we were talking for a few days, and then I didn't hear from him for 7 hours, and then we were going to go on. Let me explain something, women. It's this simple. If you match with somebody and it takes them 5 hours to get back to you just in the beginning of speaking, what if you were actually dating them? How long would it take them? Or if they make a plan, but they kind of flake and then they change the date and it's the first time you're supposed to go out, unmatch. It's that simple. It's like anything in life. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And
Yeah,
that's
I
all I have to say today.
yeah. Trust your nervous system.
100%.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, I
it.
totally believe in, like, normally people say trust your gut, right? And I always thought my gut, my intuition, but it's really the nervous system. Do you feel good, or do you feel sad or pressured or upset or whatever when you're with somebody or about a situation? So I think coming back to the theme for today, how women and men are different but have so much in common, I really believe now that your nervous system is a great indicator with whom you want to connect more and with whom it's not good for you to connect more, so you should connect less. And no matter if it's a friendship or if it's a partnership or whatever.
I agree 100%. I have the same takeaway as you today. And I would also say that men and women are similar but different. And we're, at the end of the day, we all want the same things. Everyone wants to be loved and everyone wants to be appreciated. And we hear you and we see you and we love you here at Problem Solve Her. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Problem Solve Her, no E on Solve, the Chutzpah Girl on TikTok, and Problem Solve Her, no E on Solve on IG. And that's all of our, and our website, problemsolveher.com. Bye, everybody. Happy New Year.
Bye. Just a quick note before we end. This conversation is for inspiration and empowerment only. It's not medical, mental health, or legal advice. We are not doctors, therapists, or lawyers. Just women sharing real stories and personal truth. Always seek professional guidance for your unique situation.